Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's January 2nd, 2025. We are in the Old Testament book of Psalms today. We're going to start Psalms 1. All right, so what is the book of Psalms? Well, it's Hebrew poetry. It's unique in our Bible. Most of our Bible is written from the perspective of God telling us things. Psalms is more from the perspective of us talking to God. That's why we use this for hymns and prayers. Wonderful book. Kind of brings that personal element into it. Most of these psalms are credited to David as the author. We're not really sure who wrote them, but they seem to apply to a lot of events in his life. There's some other people that we think wrote some psalms as well. We'll call those out as we see them as it come along. This Psalm 1 doesn't tell us who wrote it. It's just kind of a general psalm and a great introduction to this book, talking about, well, there are two ways to go through life: the righteous way, following God, and the sinful way and the wicked, ungodly way. And that's up to us to pick the way we go. And God has told us which way he'll reward and which way he will not reward. So it's not like we've got a surprise coming to us. Psalms is poetry. It's Hebrew poetry. It's not that it rhymes. Hebrew poetry is usually a line and a line. Sometimes there's a third line, and it's usually, here's a line and here's the contrasting line. Here's a line, here's a parallel line that reinforces that line. So that's kind of how that poetry works. If you've got a study Bible, I would suggest you read the intro to the Psalms to help you understand a little bit about that. Similes, metaphors, symbolic language, all of that comes into play in Psalms. So we're not necessarily getting a history lesson. We're not getting a science lesson in Psalms. We're getting a spiritual lesson in Psalms. I know I just saw a video where someone said, oh, God doesn't exist because here in this Psalm he talks about God putting up a dome on pillars and hanging the stars. And that's not how it happened. And it's like, okay, but it's a Psalm. That's a word picture to reinforce the message that's in that Psalm. Just like you would write a love poem today and say, I'm walking on the clouds. Well, I don't really mean I'm walking on the clouds, but I'm evoking that picture of that heady love where you don't care what's going on. So again, as we read Psalms, it's symbolic, it's poetic. Let's go ahead, we'll get right to it. We're going to read Psalm number 1, the way of the righteous and the end of the ungodly. And that's my little pericope here. Yours might be different. Usually we're not going to read those. Not sure if I'm going to read the introductions as we get to it, but all right, let's get to Psalm 1:1. Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bring forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind drives away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. May God bless the reading of his word. May God bless you. Bye.